If you have never experienced someone close to you suffer from a terminal illness, count yourself blessed. My mom died from kidney failure in November 2016, that is 10 years ago. And this all started when I was in primary school. Yes, I was still a child. I remember following her for her weekly dialysis sessions every Tuesdays and Fridays. She doesn't have the option to miss this. And if you do not know what dialysis means, it is simply separating and filtering unwanted substances from the blood, what her kidney was supposed to do. I watched her struggle, beg God for a second chance at life, and her major prayer point was, God, I want to see all 4 of my children graduate from the university. One cold Sunday morning, just before my university convocation, her last born, she said, this is it, you guys have to carry on without me. And that was the beginning of my struggles. Hello guys, and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, hi, I am Cheta and I am a content creator based in Abuja, Nigeria. You are welcome. Please subscribe, okay? To my returning guys, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for your love and your support. I really appreciate you guys, okay? Please subscribe. We are trying to get to 100k. And yeah, welcome. I'm sure all of you are curious, why are you making this video, Cheta? You can already tell from the title what this video is about. So in November this year, 2026, it will be 10 years my mom died. And I honestly have been wanting to do this for the longest time, but I keep pushing back. I just can't find myself to do it. But I'm going to do it today because this is going to be my form of therapy. This is going to be my own way to document, all that I can remember of her so that I can come back to watch it. My children can come back to watch it. I mean, their grandma. And yeah, that's what this is about. If you follow my short form videos, I am sure you have already heard like bits and bits of this story, the story of my mom, like the loss of my mom, my struggles and all of that. But in this video, we are going to explain everything in detail. Yes, we are going to do that. Now, I've always known my mom to be very energetic. My mother is a hustler. She was a businesswoman and a teacher. My mom sold literally anything. She sold ice cream. She had a provision store. She sold kitchen appliances. Like my mama, they hustle. And when I look at myself today, all I see is my mom back then. Like when I look at the way I did hustle, like man now, I remember my mom, like the way she did hustle. She works so hard. And let's take it back to when we're in Kaduna. So we lived in Kaduna briefly before we moved to Abuja. And she had a provision store. She sells every single thing. Then she hadn't started teaching. She started teaching when we moved to Abuja. And growing up, my dad was not broke. From what I saw, I mean, he said there was a time when he was very broke, when they had to hustle through it. But ever since I knew myself, my father was not broke. My dad retired in CBN, so he was not broke. But my mother just had this hustling spirit. Like, she just wanted to sell things. She was a businesswoman. She was very business oriented. And I love that about her because my mama, they handle things for house. She no go even ask my dad. She won't ask my dad for anything. She'll go to the market, stock up the house. Like my mom, I used to call her, you are a billionaire. She had so much money because she was always hustling. Even when she was sick, she did hustle with it no good. Now, let's talk about her illness. She took ill when I was in primary school. And I mean, imagine a primary school student. I was still very young in my early years, like early stages of primary school. And all I remember was that my parents were going from hospital to hospital, but they were not able to figure out what was going on. Like they'll go to this hospital, they can't really tell what was going on with her. They'll move her to another hospital. They can't really tell. So she was just feeling sick. You know how you be feeling sick, you go run different checks, They were not able to figure it out. Then at a point, I think she noticed, I'm only, because the truth is that I do not know a lot about this story, especially around this beginning stage, because I was still a child. I'm just assuming. So maybe I think she also noticed that maybe she was having issues urinating and all of that. So they ran a thorough scan and all of that. And eventually they diagnosed her of kidney failure. My dad and my mom never came out to tell me, Cheta, mommy had kidney failure. All they said is she was very sick. I remember the first year she was diagnosed of kidney failure, she had to move to Lagos. I don't know why. I've never even asked my dad why. But she had to move to Lagos for a full year. She was living there. Then her sister, her eldest sister, had to come live with us because we were still children. I remember how we'll call her on the phone then. We'll be like, hello, mommy, when are you coming back? We miss you. Sometimes we'll cry on the phone. We'll tell her we miss her. She'll say, don't worry, I'm coming back very soon. I just want to get better. So all our hopes was she would get better someday and come back. We were just praying for her, putting her in prayers. But I always noticed then that my dad was so down. I was a child, I won't really say I noticed a lot of things, but I noticed he was always down, thinking and all of that, But 1 year later, she came back, and I can never forget that day she came back. Because whenever we're on the phone, I'll tell her, mommy, please buy me a doll when you're coming back. Because I was a child. So she bought this doll the day she came back. I was so excited. Because when I was growing up, I was my mom's handbag. I did follow her go anywhere. We go out so much. She will follow me I'll follow her to the market, everywhere. So when she was away, it was so sad. And I had to because I was a child, I had to just start leaning on her sister, which I still love till this very day. We call her Mabia. I love her so much. So I started leaning on her as the next available mom now. Well, I'll talk to my mom. So I remember that day she came back with the doll. I was so excited. I was so happy. So I remember my mom saying she doesn't urinate, but I didn't understand what that meant because I was just a child. She always uses the term, I want to ease myself. I say, mommy, I want to wee wee or I want to poo poo. She just say, let me ease myself. She doesn't really say, let me go and urinate or something. I just noticed that she always uses that terminology. And like I said, I was her handbag. So when she came back, I was so excited, back to following her all around. And I remember always following her for dialysis. We're so thankful to God that as at then, Nigeria was still good. My dad worked for Central Bank, and I think Central Bank were the ones that handled majorly her hospital bills. So she was going to one of the best hospitals in Abuja clinics. So I remember I would follow her there. I'll watch her she would just lie lifeless. Then I'll see a lot of machines. I'll see her blood. This is the dialysis now. They will extract her blood. It will be going through the machine. I was just a child. I would just be like, what is going on? I was just like, what is going on? Sometimes I would stay in the room with her. Sometimes I would just wander around the hospital because she would tell me, Teta, if you want to go out, go out. I'll wander around the hospital, go downstairs, go upstairs, just, as a child now to keep busy. Sometimes I'll go downstairs, meet other sick patients, come back upstairs. We're doing this thing. And the dialysis was, I think, about 4 to 6 hours every Tuesdays and Fridays. Twice a week she had to do it because, again, like I mentioned, dialysis is basically just helping her filter and remove the unwanted substances from her blood, which her urine was supposed to do. So we'll go to the hospital and watch her do the whole dialysis thing, and then when we're done, we'll go back home. But I didn't really know what this was. I didn't really understand what was going on, right? Because I was still a child. But then eventually I grew into it. It was not a routine. Mommy always went for dialysis, she would stand up, go for dialysis. I would follow her. It was not a routine as I grew older. And one thing with my mother is that even with her sickness, everything she said she would do, she did it. My mom got her BSc because initially she just had College of Education, degree or what they call it. She got her BSc University of Abuja. She got a lot of certifications that she wanted to do. She was a businesswoman, and she was always trying to tell me that, Cheta, see, I'm just trying to do all that I can. You see her literally physically weak, but she'll be reading, studying. My mother is a role model that I don't think I have ever seen in this world. She did hustle. Sometimes when I remember how she used to hustle when she was sick, and I see some people that are sick and they just sit on the road begging, I'm like, how I wish these people can be like my mom and her thinking mentality. The woman, they hustle waiting no good. So we managed this illness for 13 years. And in that 13 years, there were people that started with her 2 years, 3 years. They were just back to back. They were losing their lives. She would just come and they would tell her that, oh, this person is no more anymore. You get. And I think one of the reasons why we managed this for 13 years was because the whole looking for a match for the kidney, the whole transplant, my dad was scared of it, and I don't think they were yet to find a match for her kidney. It has to match. The only person in our family that his kidney actually matched or there was a match was my brother. My mom was like, nope, she's not going to allow her child remove one of his kidney. How they say you can survive on one kidney, but she was like, he's too young. She doesn't want to subject anybody to that let them just keep searching for a donor. And thankfully, God kept her for 13 years. And one thing my mom always said, I remember then, whenever she's down, she would just say, God help me. I really want to see my children graduate. I want to see all my children be graduates. That's why I'm hustling. That's why my husband is hustling, you know. Whenever we're sick, she'll say, God, please, I don't want my children to be sick. Let all the sickness come to me. She makes those kind of statements. And I'm like, mommy, you know. But I didn't really understand the in-depth of all of that back then. Now, one thing I was mentioning is that while we're managing this situation, if my mom has malaria, it used to be brutal. Like, she'll be very, very down, you know. You'll see her very, very, very down. Like, but then when the malaria is over, I don't know whether it has to connect with the whole kidney failure thing, but whenever she has malaria, it's always so bad. You know the way you have malaria, and it's like, whenever she has malaria, she is down. We were managing it. At that time, I was about graduating university. I think I just finished school. I was waiting for my convocation. One bad habit that I got from this my mom situation is that whenever I call my mom and she doesn't pick, I start panicking. And even right now, it happens to me. If I call someone close to me and I'm not able to reach them, maybe like multiple times, I start panicking. Hope nothing is wrong with them. I start having anxiety. I start thinking, my head starts going places, and it's so crazy. Another very important thing I have to mention is all 13 years my mom was sick, we were in and out of churches. Like, my mom will say, please let me try this church. There's no church we didn't go to. We went to this Prophet Jeremiah Moto Fufen's church. I went with her because I told you I'm her handbag. I did follow her go. She went to TB Joshua's church. I didn't go with her. She went to so many, even some that are nameless, in search of healing. And you know what that does? It messes with your brain. Now, one other reason we did this was because when she initially fell sick, a prophecy came that this was a spiritual attack from a couple of people. So you know how like you also try. And my mom always says, because that time I always remember, I'll tell her, mommy, are you not tired of going to churches? Every time one church or the other, you'll be going. She'll say, Cheta, you don't understand. But see, when you are sick, when you're in search of healing, you will know that all these people that run from church to church, hey, trust me, I have experienced it firsthand. We went to Ekpere Ofuma. I think they call it White Garment Church. I think it's White Garment. I don't know. Ekpere Ofuma. Igbo people, please, if you know what they call it, is that like, I'll look for the translation on the screen. But yeah, we went to so many churches in search of healing, and all 13 years, it was like God just said, this is you people's cross, you guys have to carry it. My mother was so kind and selfless. Then she was a teacher. Her fellow teachers, she would borrow them money, they'll come to her house, pack food stuff. She was always giving. My mother was a giver. Sometimes I'll tell her, mommy, this person borrowed money from you. Do you know, she will even do business where she will loan money, then you pay her back with interest. You know, sometimes people will loan her, they didn't pay back, will come back with stories, she will give them another loan. You get, sometimes when I tell her, mommy, why are you doing this? She'll just say, she's just trying to help people. She knows that this person is struggling. It's her own way of helping. And I think I now begin to think that she was doing this because she knew she was not going to live long. Now let's run back to the few days before she died. So before she died, I was done with school. I had already moved back to Abuja, waiting for my convocation and for NYSC to call me. So I was just trying to look for one or two things. Then she paid for me to start a makeup school because I told my mother is a businesswoman. I was the one that told her I wanted makeup. She wanted me to learn something instead of just sitting at home. So I was learning makeup. Now that period, I think she had malaria. Like I told you, whenever she has malaria, the episode is crazy. So she had malaria that period. The day before, it was a Saturday. I went for my makeup school, came back really late. I saw her lying. I was like, mommy, how you feeling now? Eat. She refused to eat. Like, she couldn't even walk because I noticed that she was depreciating over the years. So initially she was able to walk, but not for long. But after some period, she was battling and struggling with walking. It was like she was deteriorating. So that day I came back, she was sleeping. I was like, mommy, how you feeling? She said she's malaria and all whatnot now, you know. But they gave her malaria dosage because on Friday, like I said, she goes for dialysis on Friday, but this Saturday she's really not feeling herself. But me, I just thought it's one of those malaria episodes, it will go. So I went to my room and I was chilling. He told me to go and sit with her. I still have that regret. That Saturday I was just in my room chilling. She was in her room. She would even call me on the phone. She said, come and stay with me. I said, mommy, now I'm coming. I'll go to my room and stay. So on Sunday, she was sick into the night. I think we tried to force her to drink even if it's pap before she goes to bed. So on Sunday morning, around 4 a.m., I remember my dad just barged into my room. I was sleeping and he said, Cheta, get up. We need to go to the hospital. We need to go to your mother was not responding. I just jumped up. I don't even know what I wore. I wore anything I could find, ran out. She was already lifeless. We carried her from the house down to the car. My brother was driving. I was at the front seat. My dad was at the back calling her name because my mom's name is Uche. Uche, can you hear me? So we drove down to the hospital. Once we got to the hospital, what hospital was that? I think it's the same Abuja clinics or so. We drove down to the hospital. Immediately they admitted her. When they admitted her, they took her in. I think she died at home, because apparently what my dad said was, she looked at him and said, Ike, you are a good man. Because one thing my dad did is that all 13 years of her illness, my dad never treated her like she was less. He treated her like she was his queen. He treated her, he never cheated on her, or do all these things men will do typically. Immediately we rushed her to the hospital. I remember my dad said, all of you should come, my brother, myself, and my dad. We all gathered around. We were praying, God, please help us. I remember I begged God. I said, God, if you help me, there's nothing I will not do in this life. Like, I was begging. We were just at the praying, waiting at the waiting area. I remember the nurses will pass. You know how it is now. I was begging God, God, please just save her life. Let her come back. Because God, please, I prayed every single thing I could pray in this. I said, God, I'll give my life to you. I'll do anything you want me to do. I prayed and prayed and prayed. And then while we're there praying, one doctor then came outside and said, I'm sorry. Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, guys, you see that 30 minutes before they gave me this news was the worst 30 minutes of my life. I can remember vividly. I just fell on the floor. Oh yeah, I think it was Zenith Medical Center we went to. I just fell on the floor and I started wailing. It's a lie. My dad was crying. All of us were crying. See, guys, I can never forget. I cried. I was crying, rolling on the floor, and people were holding me. I'm like, no, don't tell me. Like, God. Time definitely heals all wounds. So, after it, my dad started informing people. We have a pastor who is also a doctor, so he called him to come. He was one of the first people that came. Then one other pastor, Pastor Chike. If you know Chike, the musician, his dad, he used to be my pastor back then. He came with his wife, Mommy Chike, with my other pastor, and they were just telling us that, okay, we need to move to the mortuary. God, guys. Even when they were driving to the mortuary, I was like, God, you can still perform this miracle. You can still perform. Like, there's nothing I did not say. I just feel like it was just her time to go, honestly, because if my prayers could have brought her back, there was no prayer I didn't pray on that particular day. So we went to the mortuary, we put her in the mortuary, and you know how you come back home to the whole condolence visits, people are coming, going. I was miserable. One thing about me is I'm someone who tries to act tough. So when people started coming around, I started to act tough. I started to try to, show that I was strong. Let's not even talk about my sister, because my sister was there and she was in Ibadan running her master's program, and we're thinking of how to tell her. That conversation is a separate conversation altogether. But yeah, people started coming, going, and all of that. And I remember when people go, you know how people come and go. Then at night when I'm sleeping, I'll be sleeping, guys. I will see my mom in my dream. I'll be very excited. I'll be like, oh, thank God, all of this was a nightmare. I want to wake up to reality of it. Then I'll just wake up and see that all of that was a dream. This is reality. I remember one night I was very heartbroken. You know how, because I had a roommate that died just before my mom died, and I was so scared of her appearing to me. But for my mom, I was never scared. I felt hopeless. I felt like my life was over. In fact, I told myself, God, please just kill me too. Take me too. After, what am I living for? I remember telling God that. I rebelled against God. I was like, please, who is God? When he allowed me go through this, I went through a lot of episodes. And I remember one night I went to the living room. It was pitch black. There's this particular place my mom always sits in our living room. I went to the living room and it was pitch black. And I just sat down where she used to sit down, and I was crying. I was like, Mommy, please appear to me, because I don't know what is going on. Come to me, talk to me. I'm running. I'm going crazy. I was just shouting, crying. I remember as I was just there yelling, shouting, crying, I slept off. Now in my dream, my mom came in that dream. And like I told you, she was struggling to walk. But in that dream, she just stood up and she was walking down to me. And I remember I was like, Mommy, you're not walking. I was so excited. And she was now walking towards me. And immediately she came to me. I was like rushing to go and hold her. She was like, Cheta, I have gone. You have to continue with your life. You cannot put your life on hold. Cheta, you have to continue with your life. She said this thing like multiple times. And then I woke up. And that was the beginning of me I saw it as a message. She gave me that message. I said, you can't put your life on hold because I'm no longer here. You have a lot in store for you. You have to keep pushing. I'm not going to say it was an easy thing, but there was a turnaround with my behavior, my mood. I started to at least try to bathe, to eat, to even sleep, to do function like a regular human being. And that was kind of a turning point for me, and yeah, it was a lot. I honestly do not know how I'm coping through all of this, but I just say it's the grace of God. I miss my mom every single day. There are days I still dream of her. There are days I used to be like, imagine she was here now, how I'll be spoiling her silly, buying her stuff, because my mom died at 49. We're planning for her 50th birthday, but she died in November, just few months. Her birthday is September, few months after her 49th birthday. And I remember telling her, mommy, your 50th birthday, I'm going to do photo shoot for you. So all those things were making me kind of regret. But yeah, we just try to pick up life and do what we need to do. And one thing I'll tell you, see, time heals all wounds. If you're going through anything, just know that with time it gets better. My dad is one role model that I don't even know if it's still, if his type still exists in this day and time. My father was the most supportive partner. He did every single thing to make sure she was comfortable. He stood by her. He was so guys, he was so amazing. And I still say a very big thank you to him. He made my childhood, like, imagine going through all of that and still going through a very toxic and abusive father. Imagine what that would have been. So I'm very thankful to God that that is not my reality. Yeah, that's the story. That's what I went through. And if you are currently going through a loss watching this, I know that, like I said, there's nothing I can tell you that will make you feel better, because at the time there was nothing anybody could tell me that made me feel better. But one thing I want you to know is that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And see, no matter what, God has a reason for everything that happens on the surface of this earth. Sometimes I sit back, relax, and I try to say, is this why you allowed her go on time? Because the way I hustle now, I don't think if my mom was here, she'd get money now, you get. So everything in life happens for a reason. Yeah, I think that's it. If you have your own story to share, maybe to drop one or two encouraging words for people struggling right now, because it's crazy. Yeah, I'll appreciate that. Let me know if you thought this video was helpful, if you are struggling through any loss, any kind of loss. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys sticking here. Okay, do not forget to subscribe again, and I'll see you guys next week for another maybe vlog or sit down video. Bye guys.